The spring game on April 13th is supposed to be a really big deal. That's from Lincoln Riley's mouth to our ears. He wants everybody to turn up and turn out for Lee Brice and the spring game. Folks get that joke or they don't get that joke. I'm still going to make that joke. I really don't care. Point is, you're showing up, you're going to get this Lee Brice, and you're also going to get a vanilla football game that they tried to make into more of a football game, and I understand that because the scoring system under Bob Stoops was just esoteric and ridiculous. Nobody knew what the score was. Nobody knew how they were counting points. If you're going to play a game, play a game. Have two teams and go at it. And they did, and they went into overtime, and it was an awful weather day. Still 52,000 people showed up. If it's anything like it's been all week here in Oklahoma, it's going to be an outstanding day. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what is out there. But that's where you expect to see a lot of 2020 and possible 2021 recruits, in addition to maybe a few that actually commit. Because now, the slate is essentially white clean, or as my buddy, who in this particular instance is going to rename nameless, was like, so Alex Grinch is up to -2 recruits at this point. Yeah, he is. Because you lost Darian Green-Warren and Jalen Huff, who are your cornerback commits, in 2 months. Now, also, both of these guys are Kerry Cook's picks. They are guys that committed to Oklahoma and were heavily recruited by Kerry Cooks. When Kerry Cooks was ousted with Alex Grinch coming in, wanting to have his own defensive staff, you kind of saw the writing on the wall for some, but I'm still kind of surprised by this. I didn't take this for granted in the way that other people do, because I figured that, okay, if these guys were 5'10", maybe you're like, we're going to recruit other guys. You know, we'll honor your commitment if that's what you want, but we're going to recruit other guys because we want to get taller at that position. But with Jalen Huff, sure, maybe. 6 foot, 176, which means he's still growing, but he's 176 pounds. Darian Green-Warren, that dude's 6 foot, 187, which basically makes him bigger than Buki, bigger than Trey Brown, bigger than Trey Norwood at this moment in time as a high school senior. As a ball hawk out of Mater Dei in a defensive backfield where he started alongside Jeremiah Cradell, who is at Oklahoma and is going to compete for a safety job, and Elias Ricks, who is a top 10 2020 overall prospect and the best quarterback in this cycle for my money. So now you lost those guys, and now you get to see how much recruiting Alex Grinch can do and what Roy Manning can do. Now, I'm making this about Alex Grinch and Roy Manning in particular, because at Washington State, he took a bunch of 2-star and 3-star guys and turned them into a top 20 defense. They finished 16th in the country nationally before he took the job to Ohio State. So we know that he can coach, and we know that he can develop. Well, we know that he can coach. Develop is a different kind of word and a different way to look at it. When you talk about developing, it means putting guys into the NFL as opposed to putting an outstanding defense on the field. The way to think about that is, you would look at Jeff Monken at Army and say, he knows how to win at Army. You're not going to look at Army per se and say those guys are going to play in the NFL. Just not how you're going to look at it. So those are two different things. That's why I say that. However, now you have the recruiting apparatus at Oklahoma with Annie Hansen as your executive director of football recruiting, for which I've never seen somebody else have that title. That's how serious they are about it, Oklahoma. And you have Lincoln Riley to go in there to close for you. And he closed on a bunch of defensive recruits without a defensive coordinator, which for my money means that Lincoln Riley's probably up there with Dabo Sweeney in as far as being able to get into your house and walk out with a commitment. So you're going to have help on that front if you're Alex Grinch and you're not really that great at recruiting. Evaluating, we'll see. And I asked Mike Leach about this, and you can watch that video on this channel. Is he a good evaluator? Is he a good recruiter? He says you never really know until you get a guy on campus. And for them, it was what we needed to do. We went from getting torched to being pretty doggone good, and we could keep up with an air raid offense, and we know that Mike Leach likes to throw the ball 40, 50, 60 times a game. So all those things are working to your advantage if you're Oklahoma. But right now, you lost 2 birds in the hand so that you can refill it. And I refuse to think of recruiting as this thing that you can just refill. I hate that. I genuinely hate that. I don't look at recruiting as saying, hey, next man up. No! Hey, man, if you want to go out on a date with a woman, you're not going to ask other women out on the date and expect another woman to just slide in unless you're a sleazebag. In which case, get off my channel. I'm not dealing with that. If you're a bad person, I don't want to hang out with you. And being able to say to yourself, hey, I can always get another wife, I can always get another date, it's a bad way to go about your business. And I look at recruiting in much the same way. So getting guys to recommit is all well and good. Theo Weiss did it, right? R.J. Henderson did it, and then he decommitted again. You know, I mean, I think this is part of this is learning to hold hands and go through this process together. There are other people that think differently. I'm just not one of them.